Hi, students and parents. My name is Mr. Kensek, and I will be your seventh grade social studies teacher. Before we get too started with the video here, you might hear a faint knocking in the background, and that is because right behind me, we have construction going on. So one thing that'll be a little bit interesting in my room is we are the closest room to the construction. So students just kind of be prepared when we're in class. There may be some noise. I think it'll be fairly minimal. I think the big heavy stuff is mostly done, but we'll just have to kind of adapt to that. So just kind of getting started, I'll try to keep this fairly short because there's a long newsletter that's going to go out with this. But I know students, I won't see some of you until Thursday or Friday. And, there's just a lot of stuff to communicate to you. And just a couple of housekeeping issues off the bat. You'll see this in the newsletter. When your first day is here, you're going to take your school supplies that get donated, such as tissues and wipes, and give those to your first period teacher. And I think some of those are going to be divided up later on, but we will use those throughout the year to keep everybody healthy and to have tissues for everybody. And also, you're eating lunches in your classroom, and there is no microwave present, so you're going to have to make sure that you bring food that can be eaten as is and not need to be heated up. I know it was nice to have access to the microwave last year and in previous years, but that's just not really the case. So those are kind of the big things. Backpacks are allowed too, but lockers are not. So students will be carrying those. I really think hopefully what is in those backpacks is fairly minimal since they're not going to have to carry textbooks. So let's kind of just jump in and I'll talk a little bit about my class. I'm really excited about this year. This is my first year back in social studies after being in math for a few years. I've kind of bounced around between the two at Edgewood here, but social studies is just one of my true passions, and I think we do some really cool things with it, and I'm looking forward to that. My class has always been a little bit different with social studies and how it's operated, and I choose to use some technology and something called a flipped classroom design. You'll read more about that in the newsletter. I think you'll see a lot of teachers using that this year because of the nature of this hybrid model that we're starting with. So my students are going to have videos to watch at home and take notes on that, and that's going to be done in something called Edpuzzle. There will be a link to it on my newsletter. And once students are in Google Classroom, I'm going to get that synced up for them because starting next Thursday, they're going to have content, or this Thursday, next Thursday. First week of school starts on a Monday, so that Thursday there's going to be work that actually will be posted on Wednesday. And I'll expect some students that are coming to see me face-to-face have that done for Thursday. So kind of the idea behind the video is the video that I assign needs to be watched before I see the student face-to-face. That way they are prepared. They've taken the notes. Video is about 10 to 15 minutes in length. And I will give them some note sheets that they can use for those. That'll be easier kind of once we get started. So the first one, I may have to send that digitally through Google Classroom to students. But after that, I can kind of get them in advance to them. So that's going to be a key part. I only have students for 80 minutes once a week. So I wanted to kind of minimize the amount of time that I'm just lecturing at them. We'll do some smaller mini lessons of lecturing, but really I wanted to save room for activities in class that really enhance what we're doing in social studies. So there's going to be a video, about 3 per unit. Usually a unit is about 3 sections. The first unit will be 3 chapters, just because it's really a review of 6th grade stuff and the basic terms of geography. And then also another component that students are going to have to do outside of class is a choice board. And there will be 6 to 9 options probably on there, and students will have to complete 3 of those. That's really the homework piece of class. That's where we're going to really practice on vocabulary, the common themes of the chapter, and the standards that we're really trying to hit. And then we're just going to expand upon that when we're in class with other activities. So your main kind of things are an Edpuzzle video. It won't be in YouTube. It's got to be an Edpuzzle. That way I can see that you've watched it. And there will be questions embedded, and I can see how you've done on those questions. And really, if you've watched the video, it should be easy to get the questions right as you progress through that. We will have tests. That's kind of a little bit interesting how that will work. Like I said, with only 80 minutes, the most likely they'll probably happen during class. They could happen remotely through Google Forms. But that's really kind of the structure. So the video, the choice board are going to be the two main components. It's going to look quite a bit different than the other 7th grade social studies teacher, but I think we're all kind of adapting to what we think is going to be best for our students. And what else do I need to tell you? So Google Classroom, you're going to have a code that's sent out in that newsletter, particular to each section that I teach. So make sure that you are joining that. Parents, it's really difficult for you to be in Google Classroom on your account, so you'll have to go through your child's account to be able to do that. But you can get updates from Google Classroom. So the things that I post in Google Classroom as far as assignments go, which is mainly, again, that choice board and the video for Edpuzzle, you'll get notifications about that if you have that linked. And I've noticed a lot of students have had that in the past. And what else do I need to tell you? Oh, I also have a virtual website, which is, maybe you've seen these Bitmoji virtual sites, and it's going to have a link to some various things that I use, hopefully to just kind of put it all in one place. It's more of a cutesy thing. A lot of that is also in Google Classroom anyway. And we'll have a digital textbook that we'll get you signed up for. And I also use something called Remind, and you will see a link in the newsletter to be able to sign up for that. Parents, I strongly encourage you to do that. Teaching math last year, I sent a notification probably almost every day. I don't see doing that quite as much, since I'm not going to see students every day. And students should kind of know in advance kind of what their workload is, but I will kind of send out when I've assigned a video, and attach a choice board when I'm sending that out, and what due dates look like, just to kind of keep you in the loop. So Remind's one of the best ways I know how to communicate with you, and it's a great way for you to communicate with me too. You can message me through it. It comes right to my phone. Can be sometimes a little bit quicker than doing that through email. So I think that's about everything key. One of the cool things I've done this year too, I was wanting to use some flexible seating. I know Mrs. Jones did that in the 6th grade class. It's going to look a little bit different this year in the midst of a pandemic. So I will give students a little bit of flexibility to choose the type of seat that they have. But because of social distancing, students are not going to be able to sit wherever they want at any day. So, in the past, normally I would have probably let students sit, they could have one seat one day and they could change where that is the next day. Students are going to have a kind of a locked-in seat choice, at least for the 9 weeks, and then we can rotate that. But there will be some different types of choices to sit. I have traditional desks. I have tables and chairs that are separated. I have wobble seats. I have some 2 different styles of stools, some that are stationary, some that have rollers on them. And then I have yoga balls as well. So there will be some flexibility, and hopefully, since we have students for 80 minutes, a little bit more chance for some comfort as they're sitting in their workspaces. And we will have them spaced out at an appropriate distance to be able to allow them to work. And you'll be seeing me most of the time looking like this. So you just kind of get used. Mr. Kensek looks like this. And I think that'll be the great thing about videos, is that I can not have to wear a mask whenever I make a video. So looking forward to the year. My contact information will be in the newsletter. And I look forward to seeing you in class, whatever day that might be. Make sure you're joining Google Classroom. We'll get you all set up. And looking forward to an interesting but a great year. So have a great day, guys, and we'll see you soon.